Okay, this is English 201, week 1, part 7. Let's talk about irony some more. So, irony, jokes are irony. Every joke you've ever heard, I think. I'm not sure this is true. Pretty sure it's true. We could test it out. You're welcome to go on the discussion board and give me some examples to play with. Um, but you're also welcome to go on the discussion board and give me things and ask what they're metaphors for. I could probably handle that. But irony. Pretty much every joke you've ever heard is ironic. Um, Someone who is excited about, like, if someone's got like a big speech that's important, um, and they're excited and happy about it, and then they trip and fall on this, and they seem like they're going to do amazing, and then they trip and fall on their way up to the stage, people will laugh at that. It's mean, but they'll laugh. It's irony. It's because they thought they were going to do great, and the opposite happened. Opposite, contrast, irony. Um, it's why it's why shows like South Park, um, like South Park's whole joke is irony. Actually, no, let's not do South Park. Let's do Family Guy. It's the same thing. Stewie on Family Guy. Everybody loves Stewie on Family Guy. Why? Stewie on Family Guy is ironic. Everything he says is ironic. Why? Remember, irony is contrast. So what's the opposite of what with Stewie? Every single scene Stewie is in, something is the opposite of something else. Take a sec. You could think about it for a second while I drink this water. How Stewie looks is in extreme contrast or opposite to how he talks. Stewie looks like a little tiny child, but he talks, and this is where summary, you have to do a good job summary. Most of my students at this point will summarize, and they will say, he talks like an adult, but he looks like a baby. And that's true. But we could do better than that. What kind of adult? British. Which is also strange because his family isn't British. That's another contrast, another irony. But there's more to it than that, and a lot of my students don't know this joke. The joke with Stewie, and you're not wrong. If you think Stewie's funny because he looks like a baby but talks like a British adult, you basically have the joke. But the heart of the joke with Stewie is that he talks like a specific kind of British adult, which is a James Bond villain. If you've ever seen any of the James Bond movies from the 1970s, this is what we're going for. He talks an old actor named James Mason, being extra villainous and evil. But he looks like a little tiny baby, but he's like, ready to kill people or talks about murdering them and things. And he's very intense, right? He says, what is the Stewie line? He says, vanilla sprinkles on my ice cream. No, I want sprinkles on my ice cream. But no vanilla sprinkles. And for every vanilla sprinkle I find, I shall kill you. Like that's not babies aren't like gonna murder you over a vanilla sprinkle, but you can see a James Bond villain would be like, I will kill you for this. That's the joke with Stewie. Every single thing Stewie says is funny for that reason. Um, South Park also, it's that the kids talk, they have filthy mouths and they talk like grown adults, but they're small children. Um, and kids on TV are usually innocent, but the South Park kids are not. So irony. Every joke you've ever heard is ironic. Um, I'm trying to think of some jokes. Anyway, you can bring me the jokes, but basically every joke, and you can figure it out yourself. You're welcome to describe it for yourself. So find a joke, and there's some kind of irony. If you've ever seen a sitcom, for example, where a character tries to help and they actually just make the situation worse, that's irony. See, because why? Because what they're trying to do, make things better. What actually happens, they make things worse. That's irony. Um, Irony does not always have to be jokes. There are serious kinds of irony also. Um, if a villain in a movie builds a weapon to kill the hero, and the weapon backfires and kills the villain, that's irony. He built the weapon to kill somebody else. So, for example, in the first Spider-Man movie, Green Goblin has like a, I don't know, it's like a flying surfboard thing. Anyway, he ends up he tries to use it to kill Spider-Man, and he accidentally kills himself. It's ironic because that's the opposite of what he wanted to do. He made the weapon to kill somebody else, and now he killed himself. He was trying to help himself, and he hurt himself. Irony. And that's like a more serious kind of irony. I'll give you a real serious kind of irony. This is really my favorite example of sort of deep cut irony. It's a movie called Monsters Ball. I don't really love it. Don't recommend it, but it's got Halle Berry and Billy Bob Thornton in it. Um, and they're in this sort of racist town, and Billy Bob Thornton's white, and Halle Berry's black, and they have sex. And after they have sex, Billy Bob Thornton gets up right after sex, just gets up, goes to the bathroom, and he throws up, just vomits. And she just had sex with this dude. She doesn't know him real well, but she just had sex with him. And he comes back, and she's kind of a little worried about him. She looks at him, and he says to her, comes out of the bathroom, and he says, "Oh, don't worry, it's not because you're black." Do you see the irony? It's interesting. It's hard to see right away. It's an uncomfortable, fucked up moment in the movie, um, because there's a contrast between what he is saying and what we're getting out of it, or what she's getting out of it, or what we, the audience, are getting out of it. So he says, when he throws up and he goes, "Oh, it's not because you're black." But see, I didn't even think that was an option. That had not occurred to me at all. It had not occurred to her. So when he says, "It's not because you're black," just he's basically saying, "I'm not racist." But just the fact that that was the first thought in his brain makes me think he is racist. Even though his whole point is, "I'm not racist. I didn't just throw up because you're black and I had sex with you." But just the fact that he even had the thought at all, even that that was a possibility for him, or that he felt she might think that, right. It makes you feel like he's racist, right? He throws up right after sex, and he comes back and he says, "It's not because you're black." Actually, you can come up with a simpler scenario to describe this. If your friend is going in for surgery, like minor surgery in the hospital, and you say to them, "Oh, you'll be fine. You're not going to be like my friend Eddie, who went in for surgery and died." Do you see how? Then they would be the person getting surgery would be extremely upset. They'd be like, "I can't believe you just said that to me. Why are you talking about me getting killed during surgery?" And they'd be like, "No, no, no. I said you're not going to be like my friend Eddie, who died during surgery." But do you see how, even though you put a "not" in front of it, you were trying to say this is not going to happen. You brought up the subject. You brought up the possibility, right? Even though your whole point is, you're going in for minor surgery. You'll be fine. You probably won't die like my friend Eddie did. Like, you brought up the possibility, even though you put the word "not" in front of it. You were trying to say, "You will not die like my friend Eddie." But the thought that I had in my mind is, "Yes, I will." It's like if I tell you right now, "Do not think of zebras." See, you're all thinking of zebras. So irony, because there's a contrast. So irony is always contrast. Irony is always opposites. Um, Sometimes it's a contrast between what I said, "Well, that's fucking great," and, or, sorry, that's fucking great. If I get in a car crash and I say, "That's fucking great," there's a contrast between what I said, "That's great," and what I meant, "That's not great." It could be a contrast or opposite between what I'm doing. I'm trying to help, but I'm actually making things worse. That's irony. Um, it could be where I end up revealing more about myself than I meant to. So if I say, "Oh, it's not because you're black," Billy Bob Thornton says, "Oh, it's not because you're black that I threw up." But see, I think he is racist, because why did that even occur to him? Why is that even a possibility? Because he said something, "I'm not racist," and the result is, I think he is racist. So that's the opposite of what he was trying to do there. Um, Big reversals, right? When the total opposite of what you expected to happen happens. Like if you watch a whole movie where the hero is winning and winning and winning and winning, and at the end of the movie he just loses and they roll credits, that's irony. Because the whole time I felt like this was a happy movie and he was going to win. Irony, he did not. So irony is contrast or opposite. Notice that it's different from lying. Lying is never ironic, because irony is something you do to people. Um, Irony is something you want people to notice the contrast. When you lie, I don't want you to notice the contrast. I want you to think that what I'm saying is true. You look beautiful in that outfit. I want you to believe that. It's only irony if I want you to notice it. Um, this is a tricky thing we'll talk more about later, but notice that sometimes irony is something the characters might notice. Hey, the one character might say to another, "Hey, that's really ironic." But sometimes the characters don't know it's ironic. But the irony is between what's going on screen and me, the audience member, or the person reading the book or whatever. So sometimes the contrast is going to be in the situation of the story, but sometimes the contrast is what I think about the character versus what they think, right? So Billy Bob Thornton thinks he's not racist, but I'm sitting in a movie theater and I'm like, he is racist. There's a contrast between the way he sees himself and the way I in the audience see him. That's irony. That's contrast. So there's lots of different ways to do it, but I think we basically wrapped up irony, and we're doing pretty good on this so far. Yeah. All right, I'll see you in the next video.